Hello viewers, welcome to Big Man Business YouTube channel. Today, we're going to be talking about the top import and export commodities of Switzerland. Switzerland ranks as the 18th largest export economy in the world, with annual exports of $310 billion and a positive trade balance of $16.9 billion after deducting yearly imports of $294 billion. The GDP of Switzerland was last calculated at $705 billion. That equates to a GDP per capita of $82,797. Switzerland has always been a country that has supported a position of international neutrality. This has helped it achieve a stable economy, with low unemployment and a GDP per capita that is among the highest in the world. If you're new to the Big Man Business YouTube channel, please subscribe and turn on the notification bell to receive updates on new business expert videos. For more international business news and updates, please visit www.bigmanbusiness.com. Details on Switzerland's exports and imports. Gold. Switzerland is the world's leading exporter of gold, enjoying a 20.9% share of an annual export market worth $305 billion. Its nearest rivals are the United Kingdom with 8.46% and the United States with 5.95%. Although Switzerland is the biggest exporter of gold, it is ranked 7th globally in terms of the number of gold reserves it holds. According to World Gold Council figures, Switzerland has 1,040 tons, compared to the United States, who are top ranked with 8,133 tons. Diamonds. Switzerland is the 11th largest exporter of diamonds, with a 1.63% share of an annual export market valued at $116 billion. Most of its diamonds are destined for the United States, valued at 20.8%, and France with 19.5%. Coffee. Switzerland is the world's 5th and Europe's second largest exporter of coffee, with a 7.16% share of an annual export market worth $30.9 billion. Higher coffee bean prices charged by Swiss exporters and specializing in selling small quantities in specific formats, such as pods manufactured in Swiss factories, mean that the average price paid for roasted coffee exported out of Switzerland is often about 3.5 times the international average. Electricity. Switzerland is the 5th largest exporter of electricity and has a 7.86% share of an annual export market valued at $12.1 billion. Neighboring Italy receives 100% of Switzerland's electricity exports. Platinum. The global platinum export market is worth $32 billion per year, and Switzerland is the 8th largest exporter with a 3.54% market share. Hong Kong with 17.9% is the biggest recipient of Swiss platinum. Interesting facts about Switzerland. Switzerland has one of the highest rates of gun ownership in the world, but enjoys one of the lowest crime rates of all industrialized countries. Teaching is one of the highest paid occupations in Switzerland, with an average salary of around $68,000. After Japan, Swiss people have the second longest life expectancy rate in the world. Switzerland's top 10 exports. Exports from Switzerland totaled $319 billion in 2020. That dollar amount reflects a 5.3% increase since 2016 and a 1.5% uptick from 2019 to 2020. Based on average exchange rates for 2020, the Swiss franc appreciated by 4.7% against the US dollar since 2016 and increased by 5.5% from 2019 to 2020. Switzerland's stronger local currency makes the Swiss Confederation's exports paid for in weaker US dollars relatively more expensive. The latest available country-specific data shows that 74.4% of products exported from Switzerland were bought by importers in United States, contributing 22.9% of the global total. Germany with 15.4%, China with 5.5%, United Kingdom with 5.3%, France with 5.2%, Italy with 4.9%, India with 3.7%, Austria with 2.6%, Spain with 2.5%, Japan with 2.4%, Singapore with 2.1% and the Netherlands with 2.1%. From a continental perspective, 47.7% of Switzerland exports by value were delivered to fellow European countries while 24.6% were sold to North American importers. Switzerland shipped another 24.3% worth of goods to Asia. Smaller percentages went to Latin America excluding Mexico but including the Caribbean with 1.5%, Africa with 1.1%, then Oceania led by Australia with 0.8%. Given Switzerland's population of 8.6 million people, its total $319 billion in 2020 exports translates to roughly $36,900 for every resident in the Central European nation. The following export product groups categorize the highest dollar value in Swiss global shipments during 2020. Also shown is the percentage share each export category represents in terms of overall exports from Switzerland. Pharmaceuticals account for $88.2 billion, which is 27.6% of total exports. Gems, precious metals account for $86.2 billion, which is 27%. Organic chemicals account for $25.4 billion, which is 8%. Machinery including computers account for $21.2 billion, which is 6.6%. Clocks, watches including parts account for $18.2 billion, which is 5.7%. Optical, technical, medical apparatus account for $16.7 billion, which is 5.2%. Electrical machinery, equipment account for $12.1 billion, which is 3.8%. Plastics, plastic articles account for $5 billion, which is 1.6%. Perfumes, cosmetics accounts for $3.8 billion, which is 1.2%. Coffee, tea, spices accounts for $2.9 billion, which is 0.9%. Switzerland's top 10 exports accounted for 87.7% of the overall value of its global shipments. Organic chemicals represent the fastest grower among the top 10 export categories, up by 15.5% year-over-year since 2019. In second place for improving export sales were coffee, tea, and spices, which were up by 14.4%, led by coffee. Switzerland's shipments of gems, precious metals posted the third fastest gain in value, up by 7.6% year-over-year, led by gold. The leading decliner among Switzerland's top 10 export categories was the clocks and watches including the parts category, which fell by -16.6%. Switzerland's top 10 imports. Switzerland imported $291.1 billion worth of goods from around the globe in 2020. That dollar amount reflects a 7.8% increase since 2016 and a 5% gain from 2019 to 2020. Based on average exchange rates for 2020, the Swiss franc appreciated by 4.7% against the US dollar since 2016 and increased by 5.5% from 2019 to 2020. Switzerland's stronger local currency makes Switzerland's imports paid for in weaker US dollars relatively less expensive when converted starting from the Swiss franc. From a continental perspective, 56.3% of Switzerland's total imports by value in 2020 were purchased from fellow European countries. Asian trade partners supplied 26.7% of imports bought by Switzerland, while 8.2% of worth originated from North America. Smaller percentages of 5% came from Africa. Latin America got 3% excluding Mexico but including the Caribbean, then Oceania with 0.7%, led by Australia. The following product groups represent the highest dollar value in Switzerland's import purchases during 2020. Also shown is the percentage share each product category represents in terms of overall imports into Switzerland. Gems, precious metals with $104.4 billion, which is 35.9% of total imports. Pharmaceuticals with $38.9 billion, which is 13.4%. Machinery including computers with $19.1 billion, which is 6.6%. Vehicles with $15.2 billion, which is 5.2%. Electrical machinery, Equipment with $14.9 billion accounts for 5.1%. Optical, technical, medical apparatus account for $8.2 billion, which is 2.8%. Organic chemicals account for $7.4 billion, which is 2.5%. Plastics, plastic articles accounts for $6.5 billion, which is 2.2%. Mineral fuels including oil accounts for $5.8 billion, which is 2%. Furniture, bedding, lighting, signs, prefabricated buildings, which is $4.5 billion, account for 1.6%. Switzerland's top 10 imports accounted for just over 3/4 or 77.3% of the overall value of its product purchases from other countries. Pharmaceuticals achieved the fastest growing increase in value among the top 10 import categories, up 23.2% year-over-year. Trailing that were gems and precious metals, up by 20.7%, led by gold, then the furniture, bedding, lighting, signs and prefabricated buildings category, up by 2.6%. Leading the decliners was the organic chemicals category, thanks to its -44.6% setback year-over-year. Given Switzerland's population of 8.6 million people, its total $291.1 billion in 2020 imported goods translates to roughly $33,700 in yearly product demand from every person in the European country. Switzerland's top trading partners. Strategically located in Central West Europe, Switzerland shares its land borders with Austria, France, Germany, and Liechtenstein. Switzerland shipped $319 billion in 2020. That dollar amount reflects a 5.3% increase since 2016 and a 1.5% uptick from 2019 to 2020. That figure also represents roughly 1.7% of overall global exports 1 year earlier in 2019, estimated at $18.709 trillion. Adopting a continental lens, 47.7% of Switzerland's exports by value were delivered to fellow European countries, while 24.6% were sold to North American importers. Switzerland shipped another 24.3% worth of goods to Asia. Smaller percentages went to Latin America, excluding Mexico but including the Caribbean, with 1.5%, Africa with 1.1%, then Oceania, led by Australia, with 0.8%. Thanks for watching this video. We are open to suggestions. Kindly drop your comments in the comment box and don't forget to subscribe to the Big Man Business YouTube channel. See you in the next video.